ॐ सहना भवतु सहनौ भुनक्तु सह वीर्यं करवावहै तेजस्विनावधीतमस्तु मा विद्विषावहै। ॐ शान्ति शान्ति शान्ति। ॐ सदाशिवसमारम्भां शङ्कराचार्यमध्यमाम् अस्मदाचार्यपर्यन्तां वन्दे गुरुपरम्पराम्। श्रुतिस्मृतिपुराणानाम् आलयं करुणालयं नमामि भगवत्पादं शङ्करं लोकशङ्करम्। शङ्करं शङ्कराचार्यं केशवं बादरायणं सूत्रभाष्यकृतौ वन्दे भगवन्तौ पुनः पुनः। वसुदेवसुतं देवं कंसचाणूरमर्दनं देवकी परमानन्दं कृष्णं वन्दे जगद्गुरुम्। ॐ समस्तजनकल्याणे निरतं करुणामयं नमामि चिन्मयं देवं सद्गुरुं ब्रह्मविद्वरम्। Hari Om, salutations to all. So in the 14th chapter, we are seeing the gunas, and we saw about the qualities of sattva guna and rajoguna. So it was said when sattva guna is there, verse number 6. So sattvam rajastama iti guna prakriti sambhava, verse 5 said that nibadhnanti mahabaho dehe dehinam avyayam. They bind the individual, means they bind the infinite consciousness to this particular limited individuality. And so guna also means that the rope which binds. Now, what are the three gunas? So sattva, rajas, tamas, they are the three gunas and they bind as though they bind. Spirit can never be bound, but it appears bound because of false identification. So in that, what are the qualities of sattva? So we saw tatra sattvam nirmalatva. There is purity of mind. Prakashakam, there is clarity in the intellect, light of knowledge is there, one is able to discriminate between right and wrong, permanent and impermanent, Atma and Anatma, etc. So, Prakashakam, Anamayam, it is flawless. At the same time, Anamaya can also mean at the body level, one is strong, healthy. Then, Sukha Sangena Badhnati. How does it bind? It binds us by attachment to Sukha. Attachment to even sattvic enjoyments, attachment to knowledge, attachment to certain so jnana sangena is said, that is attachment to knowledge. So sukha sangena badhnati jnana sangena chanagha. Sattvic peace and happiness that one attains in quietude, meditation, selfless service. So the joy that is born, sukha sangena badhnati. Because the joy that one experiences because of sattva guna, because of quietude of the mind, purity of the mind, clarity of the intellect, that joy is much, much greater than the temporary pleasure. And that temporary pleasure that one gets through the rajasic and tamasic enjoyments. But that also is a joy that binds. That's why I say sukha sangena badhnati. And also jnana sangena. Sometimes there is attachment to one's own ideas, opinions, and one also gets a certain possibly superiority complex, jnana ahankar it is called. I am more knowledgeable than anybody else, or what I say is always right, nobody can question me. Those types of thought processes, they are the attachment to sattvic aspect. So attachment is rajasic quality, but it is here to a sattvic uh, object, the knowledge, or to that joy of samadhi, of quietude, of selflessness, of purity of mind. So Bhagavan says here, those are the qualities of the sattva guna and how sattva guna binds. Now, why should a person not get bound to the sattva guna joy of sattva guna sukha sangena badhnati? Because our nature is to be that which is away from the three gunas. Our nature is pure consciousness, the illuminer. The illuminer is never affected by the illumined. The tube light is not affected by whatever is there below it. It doesn't get attached to it. The screen doesn't get attached to any of the scenes. And whether we know it or not, that is our nature. But now identified with the mind, if we identify with the nature of sattva guna, of the quality of sattva guna, then we'll identify further with rajas tamas also. One can't be detached from rajas and tamas and then attached only to sattva. One can withdraw one's attention and one can become from tamasic to rajasic, rajasic to sattvic, and then go beyond. But the point is, if I am clinging to some sattvic joy, somewhere rajoguna also I will be identified with, tamoguna also I will be identified with. Proportion may be different, that's a different point. But the point is I am still identified, and so that two gunas will bind. Dehe dehinam avyayam, it was said, na? Nibadhnanti mahabaho dehe dehinam avyayam. From my true nature, from the standpoint of consciousness, I am not able to function then. I got identified with the personality. It may be predominantly sattvic, less rajas, less tamas, that's okay, but it is still personality. I am the witness, I am the sakshi, gunas come, they go, sometimes sattva guna is more, sometimes rajas is more, sometimes tamas is more. That's the play of the three gunas. Guna guneshu vartante iti matvana shajjate. In the Gita it was said already. The wise person understand this is the play of gunas. Sattva guna, raja guna, tamo guna is there in this personality and it is there in the world also. All objects can be classified as sattva, rajas, tamas. All beings can be classified into sattva, rajas, tamas. So there will be sattvic, rajasic, tamasic plants based on their qualities. So the effect that they have on us. So sattvic plant, there will be tulsi, there will be ashwatha, there will be banyan, whatever, like that. Many more, I'm just giving a few. Rajasic, which will be those plants which are plant and all that, which eat away the insects also. Or money plant, which will cling on to something, the creepers that will grow. Then tamasic plants, they don't grow much, or they will be very, what we call, stunted. Not by will, obviously, but nature has made them like that. So the point is, in the animals also one will see, in the same species, there will be some rajasic dog, tamasic dog, and sattvic dog also. So one can see the play of gunas everywhere. Human being alone has that capability to stand apart from the gunas, and specifically that capacity comes because of sattva guna. But if one gets attached to the sattvic joy as well as to the knowledge, then that is how the guna will bind. Then he says, Rajo ragatmakam vidhi trishna sanga samudbhavam tannibadhnati kaunteya karma sangena dehinam. What is the main quality of Rajoguna? So see, main quality of Sattva Guna was purity and clarity. Prakash, knowledge. Knowledge is the main quality of Sattva Guna. What is the main quality of Rajoguna? So the moment we think of Rajoguna, we think of action. dynamism, activity. No doubt that is there, but the main quality of Rajoguna as per the Gita is what? Rajo Ragatmakam Vidhi. Understand attachment to be the main quality of Rajoguna, not dynamism. Dynamism is there, that is said here. But first he says attachment. In uh, Yoga Sutras, Rajoguna will be classified as activity, the main quality of Rajoguna. But in the Gita, the main quality of Rajoguna is attachment. Why? We'll see. Rajo Ragatmakam Vidhi, and consider and understand Rajas to be of the nature of Raga, attachment. Then Trishna, insatiable thirst. Then Asanga is the dependency. Then Karma Sangena Dehinam. Trishna Sanga Samudbhavam. Sanga also can be attachment, Asanga also can attachment. Both mean same. Trishna Sanga Samudbhavam, born out of insatiable thirst and attachment. So, Bhagavan says here that Rajas is of the nature of attachment, and this raga then further makes a person compelled to do action. So, karma sangena dehinam bhajnati. How to sattva guna, how one is bound to sukha and jnana because of sattva guna, attachment to sattva guna, and how that individuality is bound by that identification. In that way, this Rajoguna makes one identified with karma because of Rajoguna, because of attachment, Ragatmakam. So understand attachment to be Rajoguna. So what is this attachment? Psychological dependence on anyone, anything, or any situation for happiness is attachment. Psychological dependence. Gurudev used to give the equation I plus I want is equal to happiness. That equation, that a want is a psychological dependency. Regular need one has, that is not a problem. But I want this for my happiness. Without this, I am not happy. That is attachment. So here he says this, and the world goes on with the notion that attachment is natural. But attachment is the main cause of sorrow. To the extent I am attached, to that extent I will have sorrow. Because there is dependency, there is anxiety. Once there is dependency, then there is anxiety of losing what I have, and there is fear of losing what I have, and anxiety if I have not got what I am attached to. Then if I have got it, I have not got, somebody else has got, then there is jealousy. A host of problems come, all negativities come because of rajas. Hence Bhagavan says here that ragatmakam vidhi. Know this rajoguna to be of the nature of attachment. And Bhagavan actually tells in the Gita that act without attachment, especially to the fruits of action. No attachment to the fruits of action, no attachment to the way of doing things, no attachment to the doership, all that Bhagavan says. So, when a person does not remember this or act with this clarity, then that action will bind. Then the doership increases. Then the person has more stress, worry, tension, anxiety, all that. Hence he says, Rajo Ragatmakam Vidhi and Trishna Sanga Samudbhavam. So the Trishna is an insatiable thirst. No matter how much one gets, one is still not content. One is still unhappy. One is still insecure. The issue is not about whether one strives to get more or not. The issue is always about with what attitude am I striving. Even great masters, they put in the great effort, but they don't have any personal ambition. They don't feel insecure if something doesn't happen. Out of detachment, out of uncaused compassion, they are there to share and let maximum people benefit. So it's not about expansion, achievement. It is about the attitude with which one is doing that. If one is doing it with that sense of strong doership and I have to prove myself and I want to make a mark in the world and people should glorify me, then that is attachment. And asanga, Trishna means that even if one gets what one wanted, one is still not happy. One wants more and more and more. It becomes insatiable thirst. So that is what he says. This Krishna is the thirst or desire, which is insatiable. And here it is said there are two meanings here. Trishna Sanga Samudbhavam. So one meaning is it is a source of thirst, which is desire and attachment. Trishna Sanga Samudbhavam. And other meaning is it is evolving from thirst and attachment. Like what example is given is a seed sprouts into the tree and the tree further gives rise to seeds which further sprouts as trees, which further gives rise to seeds. This will go on. So in that way this guna is the source of this Trishna and Sangha. That is one meaning. And the second meaning is that this Trishna and Asanga, they further strengthen this guna that way. Now both these, they are Raga and this Trishna and Asanga, they both complement each other, strengthen each other. So the person who has lot of Rajoguna will be a person who has attachment. See, we call somebody who is a dynamic person as a Rajasic person. Because that is our...
See the largest person in your contacts. Who do you want to call?
This is our Siri suddenly. So this Rajoguna is not just because there's somebody dynamic, it doesn't mean that person is a Rajasic person. Sattvic people also can be dynamic. Gunatita person also can be dynamic. What is the quality of Rajasic person? Just because somebody is doing activity doesn't make that person Rajasic. The attachment, insatiable thirst, the passion, selfish desire, fear, anxiety, stress, worry. Based on all this, when one does a lot of activity, that is Rajoguna. Otherwise, simply we look at people and we say Rajasic person. Why? Because doing so much of work. Are? Just because somebody doing work doesn't make that person Rajasic. Every avatar of Bhagwan also, how much work Bhagwan did in that avatar. So what, Bhagwan became Rajasic? No. So Rajo Ragatmakam Vidhi, Trishna Sanga Samudbhavam, Tannibadhnati Kaunteya. So this Rajoguna binds that person. How? Karma Sangena Dehinam. O son of Kunti Kaunteya. It binds the person. How? The person can't sit quietly. So we see the expression of Rajoguna and then we say this person is Rajasic. I mean, expression of the attachment inside, and that person is not able to sit quietly, has to continuously keep doing something. Then we say this person is Rajasic. But it should not be just because the person is active. It should be because of this raga, trishna, and asanga. Then the person is bound. Otherwise, that same activity, when it is done by dedicating it to Bhagavan, it will liberate. Then we can't say this Tannibadhnati Kaunteya Karma Sangena Dehina. The person will be liberated because that is what Karma Yoga is. Do stay where you are, do your duties, dedicating it to Bhagavan without any sense of dependency, psychological insistence on results, and purify the mind. Ishwararpitam nechaya kritam chitta shodhakam mukti sadhakam. Bas. So we should not judge ourselves nor judge other people just looking at them being active. If we understand the intent correctly, then only we can classify that this is Rajasic or Tamasic or Sattvic or Gunatit. So here he says, Tannibadhnati Kaunteya. The more one has attachment, insatiable thirst, the more one will be bound to karma. One will not be able to sit quietly because that needs expression. That attachment will express through sustained thought process. If I'm attached to anything, any goal or any money or power or position, I'm attached. Attachment means psychological bondage, dependency. So my mind is thinking on that only. Now that mind will push me to do karma to achieve that. That's why one is not able to sit quietly. But the sattvic person will be able to sit quietly and at the same time be very dynamic also. Why? Because that dynamism is born out of a higher source of inspiration, out of selflessness, out of dedication to Bhagavan. One doesn't want anything for oneself. So if one wants to sit quietly, one is able to happily sit quietly. If one has to detach from work for some time, sit quietly detached, no attachment to it. While doing that, suppose one is doing japa and suddenly the mind says, Arey, this much work is pending. Instead of 5 malas, I'll just do 2. That type of thought is not there. Why? Because one will finish this and then do what has to be done, one will do. And if one feels that no, for some reason the work is requiring more time and one may not be able to do japa, one sits with that clarity, okay, today I will do 1 mala, but that 1 mala one will do it properly without being disturbed by that work because one is able to cut. That is Sattva Guna. In Rajo Guna, one will not be able to detach. One will be continuously that attachment placed on the mind. So stress, worry, tension, anxiety will be there. It will affect the sadhana also, spiritual sadhana, in terms of sitting quietly, withdrawing, remembering Bhagavan. So one has to identify what is my attachment. Rajo ragatmakam vidhi trishna sanga samudbhavam tannibadhnati kaunteya karma sangena dehinam. The infinite consciousness is bound to this individuality by this identification with the attachments and then consequent actions that are born out of those attachments. And so, this will bring also the desire to enjoy the fruits of one's action. Attachment means that it's not only to karma sangena dehinam, it also means that one will be bound to the results of that karma also. That is implied. Because why is one doing karma? Why am I attached to karma? I am not really attached to only karma. That yes, some people are attached to the very fact that I need to do some action. I can't sit quietly because the mind has dependency. And some people are attached to their way of doing things. If you can't accept their way, then go your way. My way or highway. But both these are for what? They are because I am attached to the result that this is going to get. I want that. My happiness depends on that. So when we say Rajo Guna binds the individual to karma, it means it binds the individual to karma also and karma phala also, both. Which is why there is anxiety while doing karma. If the person is not dependent on the work or on the result of the work, then that will become sattvic karma. Hence, tannibadhnati kaunteya karma sangena dehinam. So many people achieve so many things, and then what happens? At some point, one has to drop the body and go. We came here for what? To exhaust karma and to not create new karma. See, Bhogayoni, they will exhaust karma. They will not add new karma. From that standpoint, that Bhogayoni is better than Manushya Yoni. If Manushya is not selfless and is not using karma to purify the mind, but because of Rajas and Tamas, getting more and more bound by karma. Because every action done with Rajas and Tamas, with ego and egocentric desire, will create new karma. So I came here to exhaust karma, but I am going back richer with more karma. Then what is the point? That's why Sattva Guna is so important. So this is what it is. So many people have come, achieved big things, and then they have gone. Where are they today? Our life is so short. In that life, one is running behind temporary things and getting so attached to this temporary pleasure, power, prestige, popularity, all that. And for that, one is restless, one is anxious, one is stressed, one is worried. And finally, all this will remain here. One came with certain number of karmas, but one was loaded with more karmas. That's how the Rajoguna binds. And even if one is doing sattvic work, if there's an attachment to reach out to more people, open more initiatives, institutions, so many things, school, college, hospital, all these. If there are inspired workers, selfless workers, people are taking it up, they do, that's one thing. But if one is doing it because one wants to prove that I could establish a big spiritual empire, then that is Rajoguna only. That's not Sattva-guna. Because the focus is still on I. It's not on the cause. It's not on Bhagwan. It is not on dedication to a higher cause or the Lord. It is for I. Then that is Rajoguna, and that will create new karmic bondage. So that's why Sattva Guna is very, very important, and that is what will liberate, and Rajoguna will bind. Now, family life also, when one is doing the duties, one can do out of sense of seva, out of dedication to Bhagavan, do one's best, and each one has come with their karma, they will do what they have to do. How much can I insist and do anything? Cannot do anything. What is the point of getting anxious and stressed and worried? Okay, I have done my best. If this is what they have to do, that they will deal with it. That's their prarabdha. In that, however I can help, I will help. Beyond that, I can't do anything. That clarity is Sattva Guna. Rajoguna will insist this person should behave like this, speak to me like this. By now, they should have chosen what they want to do. By now, this should have happened, that should have happened. I can only suggest, I can only give an opinion. Beyond a point, I can't do anything. So if I'm insistent for personal ego reasons, then that is Rajoguna, attachment. Sometimes a mother is insistent or a father is insistent because the child is very small. The Vivek Shakti of the child is not developed. So the child doesn't know consequences. But if that mother or father understand the child, now the child has grown up, become a teenager, become a youngster, and one can make them aware that these are the consequences. Now you decide, it is your life, what you want to do with it. Now, even if they decide something which is hurtful, harmful, let it be. That's their journey. They have to learn by falling, they will learn by falling. Nobody can help. One can only make them aware of consequences and support them when they fall. Okay, I am there, you learn the lesson and move on. Don't repeat this next time. But beyond that, what can one do? So the more one comes into Sattva Guna, freedom, detachment, love, happiness, all that one will experience. And Rajoguna is this. attachment to karma. Tamoguna is what? तमस्त्वज्ञानजं विद्धि मोहनं सर्वदेहिनां प्रमादालस्य निद्राभिः तन्निबध्नाति भारत. So before I go to tamoguna, see this activity, because of attachment to personal image, I want it in a certain way, so I am doing action. I am dependent on the result also. Now that is what will, because of this attachment, there will be corruption, there will be compromise, there will be bribe, there will be greed, there will be shortcuts, there will be sometimes immorality also. Sometimes unethical things also one will do. Why? Because that attachment is insisting so much, and that I want to do this, I want to get this done, it has to be. Now one has put all those thoughts about dharma. Then one will compromise. So the quality of attachment, which is the quality of Rajoguna, is what will make that person greedy, insecure, compromising, bound, all that will happen. Now Tamoguna is what? Tamastu Ajnanajam Vidhi. Understand tamas to be Ajnan, ignorance. Ignorance at different levels. Ignorance of the self is the highest level. Or even ignorance of certain basic things in the world one doesn't have. How to communicate, that I should inform, I should tell, I should be clear, nothing. Ignorance of things happening in the world, ignorance of even certain basic rules, regulations. Tamastu ajnanajam vidhi. So main quality of sattva is knowledge, main quality of rajas is attachment, main quality of tamas is ignorance. Tamastu ajnanajam vidhi. Mohanam sarvadehinam. It deludes all the beings. Specifically human beings is what we are talking about right now. Though there will be others, like we said, all that beings are affected by three gunas, no doubt. But because human being has sattva guna more, and that capability of human being is to have the buddhi, then using this sattva guna and the buddhi, one will be able to at least recognize what is sattva, what is rajas, what is tamas, having got the knowledge. One will at least be aware that, okay, right now I'm going through laziness, I'm going through anger, I'm going through happiness, contentment, love, peace, insecurity, greed, jealousy. I won't be aware. Tamoguna doesn't make a person even realize that. So many times one doesn't even know one is in depression, one is going through some mental health challenge, because that's the quality of tamas. It will not even make me aware of what I am going through. Tamastvagnanajam vidhi mohanam sarvadehinam, and opposite it shows as correct. Moha means to see something opposite. Where there is no water, I am seeing that water there. That is moha, delusion. Snake I am seeing as rope, moha. Rope I am seeing as snake, that is also moha. Both are moha. So the person doesn't see a thing as it is. And the tamoguna deludes, mohanam sarvadehinam. What are its expressions then, apart from ignorance? And one is very happy with ignorance many times. One doesn't bother to find out, to remove this ignorance, gain knowledge. क्या फर्क पड़ता है? How does it matter? What is the use of it? चलता है. That type of a, lazy, lethargic type of attitude is tamoguna. So even if I don't know the self, so what? My life will go on properly only. I'm happy, enjoying life, and I'm achieving great things. Why this self-knowledge is required? No. होगा कोई self, I'm ignorant, how does it matter? So one doesn't have that intellectual stamina to inquire, to find out why this is important. Why are the scriptures saying that attaining human life, we should realize the self? Why are they saying that I'm bound. What is bondage? What is liberation? Who am I? Those questions will not even come in that mind. Sometime because of some disappointment or somebody's death or some big loss, something big thing has happened in life, one is jolted out of one's, you know, this tamas. Then for some time one may have some questions and then inquiry and then satsang and all that, and it could be a good starting point for many, but for some it will be again gone after some time back to square one. So tamastu ajnanajam vidhi. In this there is no clarity about that there are two, matter and spirit, atma and anatma. One thing that what is seeing perceptible, what is experienceable, that alone is truth. There is nothing more than that. Though one knows now, even with science, etc., one knows what I see is not real. Our senses are limiting us and presenting one rosy picture to us that is not even there. What is there is something else only. In fact, Vedanta is saying that nothing else is there. Brahman alone is. Where one is seeing neither what science is saying one is able to understand, nor what Vedanta is saying one is able to understand. And yet one feels, I know everything. What more is there to know? Why all this waste of time? That is tamoguna. Ignorance makes one feel I am very knowledgeable. How interesting it is, you watch. Tamasic person is very happy in his ignorance and sometimes very proud also. And they're saying also, ignorance is bliss. Our Guruji says ignorance is not bliss, it is blisters. But the person who is sattvic says, I don't know, I am surrendering, please teach me. There, the I don't know and humility and acceptance of that fact, I don't know, is the means to liberate now. And here, this I don't know, I don't want to know, I don't care to know, how does it matter? Sheer ignorance and arrogance. So, here, when he says Mohanam Sarvadehinam, one is not even thinking of the self. Only human being can turn and think of the self. Others are not even bothered. Senses are extrovert. And how does the Amoguna manifest further? Pramada. So what is pramada? Carelessness, postponement, procrastination, inalertness, pramad. In fact, Upanishad says pramado vai mrityu. Pramada is death. Inadvertence, inattention, inalertness is death. Even on the road it happens or not. If one is not paying attention, accident happens. Savadhani hati, durghatna ghati. Pramad. Then alasya, laziness, indolence. What one can do now, one will postpone. One will not get up, one will be sleepy. When one knows I've had enough sleep, one will sleep. What work has to be done, one will not do at the appropriate time within the timelines. Planning will advance. No, last minute, somehow do it. Why? Tamoguna is not allowing that person to plan properly, execute properly, give enough time, prepare well for it, nothing. Last minute, somehow do it. Or don't even do it. And then do what? Daydreaming. Some sense enjoyment, some pleasure, some temptation in the mind. One is fancifully imagining and engaging in some sensual pleasures, whiling away time in drinking, dancing, playing cards, gambling, all that. Pramada, alasya, nidra, sleep. So all these are classified into two further. So one pramada is where I know what is the duty to be done, but I will not do my duty. That is heedlessness. And second is by doing futile actions. What is the duty is not done and what is supposed to be done, uske badle I'm doing something else, some waste of time. Futile actions. And these futile actions also what? Just sitting simply imagining fancifully some enjoyment or all this, small things. Suddenly one starts cleaning one's drawer, clean up the desktop. See, basic cleanliness is required, there's no doubt about it. But when too much work is happening, is due work has to be pending because of my whatever my profession is, etc. That is demanding my work, prioritizing I have to do for that. Mm. I'm avoiding, escaping in my mind, and engaging in some petty little things. Prioritizing is not happening. That is tamoguna. So that is pramada. Then alasya. Then what is that alasya? One is just idle, who doesn't do anything. If I'm uh, practicing that as a certain way of my sadhana to detach from this karma asakti, that's a different point. That is consciously done. This one is I am escaping. I don't want to do. So this is that indolence. And second type of indolence is what? The laziness that comes by burnout. Excessive amount of work one has done, now one is burnt out. Now one is fully exhausted and one is not able to do more. So there's laziness because one has done so much, unnecessarily went on to do so much more than what is supposed to be done. See, sometimes it happens one takes that pressure and handles it. Some emergency, something. But in the world, people dump more and more and more work also, and that person who is active becomes burnt out. And the person who is not active, lazy, nobody is giving work to that person. Just think, that's such a terrible way of management. It will destroy that person's also and the organization also. Why? Because those who are dynamic, if they are overburdened, they will lose their capacity. Burnout will happen in such a terrible way that one will not even be able to do what basic one was doing before. And that person who is dull and lazy and lethargic, that person is anyway not getting activated because all his work somebody else has been dumped with. So one lost both. Pathetic way of managing. One has to activate or add new people, remove this person, bring somebody else who is more dynamic. Why keep around that lazy person and then dump their work on somebody else? So as a result of that burnout, when that person completely loses interest or doesn't want to do anything, though there is work, one says, no, I don't want. That is this laziness, born out of that frustration. We are calling it tamoguna because it is a certain intellectual laziness, lethargy. One knows it has to be done, but one will not do. Because burnt, energy is gone, exhausted. And that is natural. So one has to be alert. So pramada, alasya, and then nidra. One nidra is that which one needs. The body needs the nidra, and that is why tamoguna is required. But that nidra doesn't bind. Just like activity by itself will not bind. If it is done with rajasic attitude, it will bind. So nidra also, that basic nidra will not bind. But when I am sleeping extra, I'm not doing what needs to be done. I don't like myself. See, basic point is why will a person do this? Because the person doesn't love oneself, like oneself, or the work that one is doing, or there is some other relationship issue, some pressure, something one is going through which one doesn't want to deal with. Then one wants to just avoid, escape, so spend time sleeping more than what is required. So the reason behind it could be rajasic also, but the expression of that is happening by laziness, sleep, doesn't want to do. Even sometimes self-destructive habits. I know I should do exercise, but I will not do exercise. Why? Because I'm not happy with myself. I'm not happy with something I did or something somebody did to me or some relationship issue I have, some work pressure I have, whatever it may be. Then I will procrastinate, I will not do, I will be lazy, then there will be extra, guilt for that also. But I say no, doesn't matter. And one indulges in self-condemnation, then hurtful, harmful behavior. All this is tamaguna. So here he says this. Pramad alasya nidrabhi tannibadhnati bharata. So all the three gunas, this is how they bind. The nature of the Dehi is beyond the three gunas. Dehi is the infinite consciousness. Identified with this one BMI, based on the gunas, the Dehi is bound. Now he is summarizing this in the 9th verse here. Sattvam sukhe sanjayati rajah karmani bharata jnanam avritya tu tamaha pramade sanjayatyuta. So earlier he gave the qualities also and then what binds. So the need is there for the gunas. One cannot avoid as long as the personality is there, gunas will be there. In deep sleep, there are no three gunas. Personality is not there. In dream and waking, there are three gunas because the personality is there. So earlier he gave the qualities of the gunas and then how they bind. Now only the binding aspect is specifically uh, bringing forth here. Just give me a minute. Somebody is at the door. So the binding qualities are specifically given in this verse. Um, Sattvam sukhe sanjayati. This sattva guna will sway the person towards happiness. Raja karmani bharata. Rajas will make that person do action, push that person to action because of that attachment. Then jnanam avrityatu tamaha pramade sanjayatyuta. And this tamo guna, what will it do? Because of its nature of veiling, jnanam avrityatu tamaha, it will veil the knowledge and make that person pramada, become inalert, inattentive, negligent. Pramade sanjayatyuta. So now this is like a summary of the binding aspects. So sattva will bind. So one hand, sattva has that quality that if sattva is there, then the person is happy, keen to learn, is jignasu. One wants to, one has detachment, one is peaceful, one is balanced, one is able to be compassionate, kind, forgiving, or higher values one is able to live. But here he also says that, don't be attached to this sukha. That's what it means. Sattvam sukhe sanjayati. It will sway the person towards happiness. And that sattvic joy one should not be attached to if one wants mukti. In the world, people are attached to rajasic joy only. Forget sattvic joy. Rajasic, tamasic joy only is not easy to live. Sattvic joy, how much more difficult it will be to first experience, then to be living that. But it will still going to be limiting. We are talking from highest standpoint. In the world, if we experience sattvic joy, there is nothing better than that for, in comparison to rajasic and tamasic joy. But from the standpoint of realization, even sattvic joy, even the joy of samadhi also is a is a limitation. Because it is no doubt a great experience. In the Yoga Shastra, they say the rasa swad is the fourth obstacle. Many obstacles are there. I'm just saying four because four main is what we consider. There are some more in Yoga Shastra, but so Nidra, Vikshepa, Kashaya, and this Rasaswad. The Rasaswad is this sattvic bliss of quietude, samadhi, absorption of the mind, one experiences. But that also one has to drop because I am the Sakshi, I am not that experience. I am not that mind also. So he says Sattvam Sukhe Sanjayati. The Sattva Guna will make a person attached to happiness and then he becomes bound. And any form of attachment, when it is there and one is bound, then it stops the progress and makes a person starts falling down. So one has to keep in mind that, and Bhagwan's grace, one will transcend that also. But one has to be clear. Then Raja Karmani Bharata, the Rajoguna will attach to the actions. Again, I'm saying, remember, Rajoguna makes a person attached to action because of the attachments inside. Because one feels that only when I achieve this, I will be happy, I will be worthy, I have proved myself, I feel confident. So, compared to Tamoguna, that state of dullness, laziness, lethargy, procrastination, not wanting to do anything, it is better to be Rajasic. But one should not get limited by that Rajoguna, the activity, action, achievement, planning, achieving goals, expansion. One should not think, okay, that's it. Because that what it will give is temporary pleasure. And yes, some form of subtle kick one will get about name, fame, popularity, and the power one wields and influence one has on the lives of people, on the things, on the beings. One will get all that, but Brahmagnan is something else. So, Rajak Karmani Bharata, if my karma does not help me to purify the mind and become quiet, no use of that karma. Unnecessary, that will only create more bondage. So, one should be careful. Whatever work I am doing, dedicating it to Bhagavan. So, Jnanam avritya tu tamaha pramade sanjayatyuta. This tamoguna will veil the knowledge. And because of this, one is not able to see clearly what is real, unreal, and what is the permanent and temporary, Atma and Anatma, right and wrong, veiled. Jnanam avritya tu tamaha. And then pramade sanjayatyuta. Then that person becomes inalert. Today, that is one of the biggest challenges. With so much of technological exposure, sensory stimulation available, mind is becoming more and more inactive, more and more passive or not. When we had post inland letters, then this what you call phone, ISD, STD, all this. Communication was still more, people were more responsive. Now with every technology available from WhatsApp to email to SMS to so many things are there today. FaceTime, video call, so everything is available. Still people have become more unresponsive. How to reach them? Make them read, understand and apply where it is going to happen. Basic WhatsApp messages people don't read, don't have patience to scroll up a little bit. Why are you on the group then? But no, one will be on the group. I want to be on the group, but I won't read the messages. Then I will trouble people. Find out. Uh, but why? Because the pramada, in alert. Sometimes one is busy, one is not able to see, one is not able to catch up. There's a different point. But Faltu ka messages they are forwarding it to each other, and forwards and good morning message and this and that. For that, they have all time in the world. The important messages, what is there, that one is not reading properly, not one is replying. And they don't even have that much of basic thinking to understand that somebody is there on the other side who is asking certain thing or informing certain thing because it's an event and is being organized and they need to make arrangements. People are so funny. They will register for a meditation class which is beginning at 6 o'clock in the morning. At 6:10, and they expect the volunteers to immediately add them to WhatsApp group and send them the link and they need to attend the session. Wow. Why the volunteer is not meditating? Then they'll message me also. I didn't get the link. Are you registered only at 6:10? I was meditating at that time or talking at that time in my class. How will I give you the link? It's all pramada. So many days in advance the registration links are sent, but nobody bothers. Karenge. And the best part is after being on so many groups and sending we've sent messages and all, when they meet, they will say, Swamiji, this program we didn't know only this was happening. To open the WhatsApp and read, then you will know. Pramad, in alert, and then one wants Brahmagyan. I want to realize Brahman. Very good. Be alert, then only Brahmagyan can be realized. Gurudev said very clearly, he said, alert and vigilant living is the price you pay for freedom. Simple. Most powerful, very powerful quote. Alert and vigilant living is the price you pay for freedom. When our Puja Guruji, Swami Tejomayananji asked Gurudev that how long should I meditate in a day? You know what Gurudev replied? He said 24 hours. How 24 hours I will meditate? Then Gurudev explained, he said to have half an hour of deep, powerful, quiet meditation, I have to live 23 and a half hours in alertness, including sleep. I have to sleep like a sadhak, not like one lazy, indulgent fellow. Only then my meditation will be proper. So, tamoguna, it will bind. Jnanam avrityatu tamaha. One of the biggest enemies we have is tamas. Because it doesn't even let us know we are in tamoguna. That how to fight it when I don't even know I am in tamoguna. And I think that is normal. So, these are three gunas and how they bind. Now Bhagavan says how each one, at some point in time, one guna is predominant, the other two get dormant or they get subdued, not dormant, they get subdued. At different times in the day, same person at different times of the life also same person goes through different gunas, predominance of different gunas. Rajas tamascha sattvam bhavati bharata. Rajas sattvam tamaschaiva tamas sattvam rajas tatha. Rajas tamascha abhibhuya sattvam bhavati bharata. Sattva predominates by overpowering rajas and tamas. When if I allow this, so when I am in satsang, when I am doing selfless work, when I am in the sadhana time, when one is meditating in the, let us say, especially in the Brahma Muhurat, etc., then Sattva Guna Pradhan. At that time, Rajo Guna is dormant, it becomes lesser, and Tamo Guna becomes lesser. Then what happens? Rajas Sattvam Tamas Chaiva. Then at some point, Rajo Guna will dominate over Sattva Guna and Tamo Guna. When one becomes very attached, insistent, controlling, dominating, greedy, attached, then I may know that this is not right, but Rajo Guna is overpowered. This Dhritarashtra knew whatever he is doing is wrong. In terms of, as a king, he didn't do his duty. He knows it. Vidurji explains to him so many times. Krishna Bhagavan has explained, Dronacharya has explained, Bhishma has explained, everybody has explained. He tells everybody, yes, I know, but what to do? I am bound to my son, I am attached to my son, and I can't see him unhappy. They are giving you knowledge, they are giving you clarity, reminding you of your duty as a king. Come back to it. If you don't have enough sattva guna in yourself to overpower your rajas, take the help of other people who are giving you some guidance. But you know that Rajoguna, when it is overpowering, that attachment is so strong. One knows everything also, but one will not be able to give up. Which is why Bhagavan says in the Gita, when Arjun asks in the third chapter, he asks the same question. That Anichannapi Varsneya Baladiva Niyojitaha. Why does a man commit sin? Papam charati purusha. Why? Because of this Rajoguna Samudbhava, Bhagavan says. Kama esha, Krodha esha, Rajoguna Samudbhava. This anger and greed, desire and anger born out of Rajoguna, that will overpower. So when Rajoguna overpowers, Sattva-guna becomes dormant. Tamoguna also becomes dormant. That person can't sleep also. Many times Rajas is so powerful. His mind is so active, he is not able to sleep. Today young people are going through all that. Terrific. Work-wise they have challenge, relationship-wise they have challenge, everywhere. How much mind is getting disturbed, overthinking has become so common, and depression has become so common. Ye dono, stunning. How many people going through panic attacks, depression, panic attacks and this overthinking and anxiety issues on one hand. On the other hand, depression, suicidal thoughts, personality disorders. So the point is, when Rajoguna overpowers, then Sattva and Tamas, they become subdued. And then Tamas Sattvam Rajas Tatha. When Tamas overpowers, then all clarity gone, dynamism also gone. What happens? All this laziness, lethargy, indolence, chalta hai attitude, careless. Now this is how these three gunas, they bind the jiva. In this, jiva is caught. Now what happens? Tamoguna veils the reality, Rajoguna projects the individuality, Sattva-guna is the way to exit out of this. But when one doesn't know this, then all the three gunas are binding. And each guna is overpowering the other and binding. Now, we gave some examples of Sattva guna when it overpowers, what does it do? Verses 11, 12, 13, they describe this process that when Sattva guna increases in comparison to Rajas and Tamas, when Sattva guna is maximum, then what will happen? What are the qualities? How does it exhibit? All that we will see in our next satsang. For today, I will stop here. We will do the arati and then conclude. If you have any questions, you can ask after the arati. So, we thank all our Yajmans, the Mukhya Yajmans for the whole series. Tarana Khubchandani ji, Kalpana Morparia ji, Parag Wagh, Bharat Khanna ji, Vandana Jagwani ji. Geeta Aarti Yajmans for all the sessions. Rajan Saxena ji, Ajay Marchand ji, Hemant Kumar ji, Rashmi Anand ji, Nalini Shevakramani ji, Jayashri ji, Ajay Kasotia ji, Vinita Sanghi ji, Vipul Dalal ji, Jyotsna Nevatia ji, Jolly Silvipat ji, Vijaya Bhatia ji, Ami Ambani, Anita Narayan ji, and Dipti Gandhi ji. Today's Dainik Yajman for The Gita Satsang, Gita Mirchandani ji, Bharti Kapadia ji, Madhuri Bhatia ji, and Chaula Bhimani ji. And today's Aarti Yajmans are Nitiksha Tarkas ji, Geeta Mirchandani ji, Rita Vishwanathan ji. We invoke God's grace, Gurudev's blessings on all of them, their families, and everyone present here. May Bhagavan bless us to be in Sattva Guna maximum time and go beyond the three gunas and realize our true nature. Om Tat Sat, Jai Shri Krishna.
ॐ जय भगवद्गीते मैया जय भगवद्गीते हरिः कमलविहारिणि सुन्दर सुपुनीते ॐ जय भगवद्गीते कर्म सुमर्म प्रकाशिनि कामासक्तिहरा तत्त्वज्ञानविकासिनि विद्या ब्रह्मपरा ॐ जय भगवद्गीते निश्चलभक्तिविधायिनि निर्मलमलहारिणि शरणरहस्यप्रदायिनि सबविधि सुखकारी ॐ जय भगवद्गीते रागद्वेषविदारिणि कारिणि मोद सदा भवभयहारिणि तारिणि परमानन्दप्रदा ॐ जय भगवद्गीते आसुरभावविनाशिनि नाशिनि तमरजनि दैवी सद्गुणदायिनि हरिरसिका सजनी ॐ जय भगवद्गीते समता त्याग सिखावनी हरिमुख की बानी सकल शास्त्र की स्वामिनी श्रुतियों की रानी ॐ जय भगवद्गीते दया सुधा बरसावनी मातु कृपा की जय हरि पर प्रेम दान कर अपनों कर लीजय ॐ जय भगवद्गीते ॐ जय भगवद्गीते मैया जय भगवद्गीते हरिः कमलविहारिणि सुन्दर सुपुनीते ॐ जय भगवद्गीते ॐ जय भगवद्गीते ॐ जय भगवद्गीते बोलिए गीता मैया की जय
बोलिए श्री कृष्ण चंद्र भगवान की जय, श्री सद्गुरुनाथ महाराज की जय. Okay, so there's a question. Please clarify why attachment to Sattva Guna also has to be transcended and how it can be done. I explained in the class that Sattva Guna also is a guna of the mind. If I want Brahma Jnana, I have to transcend attachment to the mind. As long as I'm identified as a mind, as an individuality, I will not be able to experience my nature as Brahman. So if I want Brahman, then I need to transcend the guna, because Sattva Guna also joy, however pure and noble it may be, it is limited, it is bound, it is temporary. And it will make me feel connected to this BMI and identified as a Jiva. Until I don't transcend the three gunas and realize my identification as, my nature as infinite consciousness, I will remain one finite limited individuality which can again go back into rajas and tamas anytime. How to transcend it? By contemplating on infinite consciousness. When my mind is stabilized in sattva guna, then I drop the identification that I am the jiva. Only sattva guna can make a person do that. How we use a pole to go up and then we leave the pole, same way. Using sattva guna only, we can go up to the boundary of the buddhi and transcend it. Meaning, contemplate, I am Brahman, I am not this jiva. Steady contemplation that way will destroy the identification with the BMI. That is what is a gunatita. And those are the lakshanas that will come at the end of this chapter, that who is a gunatita. So how to transcend sattva guna? Only one method. Contemplate steadily on infinite consciousness. Atman is not karta and BMI is doing all karmas via influence of trigunas. So who is ultimately controlling BMI as instrument? You are controlling. Identified with the gunas, you are controlling the BMI as the instrument. Ishvara is not controlling. Ishvara is enlivening. Like who is the driver? Who is driving the vehicle is the driver. Petrol is only there in the vehicle to give it the power. Then only vehicle will run. But where the driver is taking, control is by the driver. If the driver drives properly, it will reach the destination. If the driver doesn't drive, goes and creates an accident. So the three gunas may be there, but the jiva is equal to three gunas at the moment. Jiva is not thinking three gunas are controlling, I am separate. Jiva is identified with the three gunas. So when one is saying Atman is not the karta and BMI is doing all karmas based on three gunas, that BMI is doing because there is a jiva bhav in that BMI. So who is controlling the BMI? The jiva who is identified with the three gunas, thinking of itself as sattvic, rajasic, tamasic, is controlling the BMI. My husband seems to have all the tamoguna qualities you just described. I have recently married and gradually realizing this bothers me a lot. What should I do to keep my peace and not be bothered, as I understand I cannot change him and I should not sweat over that which is not in my hands or control? So this acceptance itself is very good. First of all, I have to accept. Second, you don't have a desire to change him. That is also very good. Third is this fact. If you are able to inspire him with some nice goal by which the person can come out of tamoguna, great. If not, you find an inspiring purpose in your life. What is your goal? What is the thing to be done? Whether it is spiritual evolution or anything else in the world, material things or whatever it is that keeps you inspired, focus on that and keep walking the path. Whatever way you can serve and make the husband happy in whatever the duties are required. By make the person happy, I mean by doing your duties, keep doing the duties. Beyond that, focus on what one has to do. If the person becomes open slowly also, then try and inspire so that the person may come out. Sometimes the person doesn't want to come out, then nobody can help. But if the person wants to come out, sometimes somebody helping can be there, can be a good source of support by which one can come out, some motivation one has got. Acceptance can come through three methods then. One is there is some karma I am going through. It is getting exhausted. Bhagavan brought us together for whatever karmic connections we have. It is getting exhausted, it will go. I keep doing what I have to do as a duty, that's all. Second, prasad buddhi. Bhagavan knows the best. I accept whatever has come. And third, even this will pass. Whatever way it helps me to accept, I can use any of the three or all the three also. But important thing is to what you have written there, not to sweat over it, because each person will change only when they want to change. We can only facilitate change. We can't push them to change or force them to change. And if they don't change, that is their prarabdha. I can safeguard myself, protect myself so that I don't get influenced by it in a negative way. and I do whatever my sadhana, my seva, my duty. Keep doing, keep walking that path. Mandodari kept on advising this Ravan, even though he didn't listen, but she kept doing her duty. Tara advised Vali. She kept doing her duty. They didn't stop with out of the fear that, oh, this person is not going to change. Why should I do anything? No. In their own way, they kept trying to suggest and tell. Beyond a point, if it doesn't work, it's okay. That is their choice now. They will deal with their consequences. I have done my duty. Bas, so that do the best and leave the rest. That's what will work. Which is why emotional anchoring in Bhagwan and Bhakti is very important. Otherwise, one will not be able to accept this. And if one is expecting a certain thing which is natural when marriage has happened, and if that is not coming, one will feel disappointed. But anchor in Bhakti, anchor in Bhagwan, find your goal, move towards that. All right. Om Purnamada Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnameva Vashishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Harihi Om Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Harihi Om.